If you're a Cleveland Browns fan looking for a break from the emotional roller coaster that is the price we pay from loving then hating our Browns, then a big welcome to Cleveland Browns Anonymous, a group therapy podcast to help you survive the season. So let's start our meeting.
Hi, everybody. This is Mike Riley with Brook Riley, and we are getting ready for another football season, another week. It will begin. Take us all the way to February. So you getting psyched up?
I am.
Who's some of your fantasy people?
Well, my draft is Sunday, my friends. So listening to a lot of fantasy football podcasts on my runs. So got a couple sleepers.
Who are your sleepers?
So one is two Ohio State kids, the running back the Patriots drafted, Travion Henderson, who's just getting just tons of love. And then the other guy is a wide receiver for Baker Mayfield, ironically. Emeka Buku from Ohio State. So
Whatever happened to Jack Smith? For you old white guys out there. Abuka, Muka Buka.
we'll see.
We'll see.
There was one kind of new rule they instituted this year where you could keep one player from your roster last year, but you'd lose the draft pick. So I drafted last year Jaden Daniels in like the 10th round.
Wow.
So I get to draft Jaden Daniels and lose my round 10 pick. So if that's not the steal of the century, knock on wood.
Even your dog's excited. He's like, Jaden.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Redskins, I think Redskins are going to decline. I mean, we'll get back down to the over-under, but they got an older team, and they had a lot of luck out games. But so, okay, I'm a little confused. So that means you're...
Well, they did, but here's the thing. In fantasy, it doesn't in fantasy football, if you're a quarterback who can rush in for a touchdown, that's
Yeah.
That's why guys like Justin Fields,
Lamar Jackson,
people will draft. They're not going to draft guys like Justin
Herbert.
Justin Herbert, who's a really good quarterback, but in fantasy, it's not.
Yeah.
So finding those guys like Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, Lamar, Josh Allen, those guys are
Yeah. I think, one of my sleeper pick would be Fannin on the Browns. I think this guy is going to get a lot of touches, tight end screens. He's going to be a featured player. Also on the Browns, I think Jeudy and Flacco throwing those bombs. I think Jeudy is a major upgrade. I mean, Amari Cooper was good, but Jeudy has taken it to another level. So just from a Brown, and of course the Browns defense, I think it's going to be scary good. So, I don't follow fantasy. I'm just kind of focused on the Browns, obviously, but yeah, and they're going to be some sleeper teams, the over and under. Just listening to all the experts just pissing all over the Browns. I wonder what Cousin Sal's going to be doing. He lost a bundle last year on the Browns. So he's going to be steam coming out of his ears. But
podcast comes out on Sunday. They usually
Cousin Sal, he always screws it up. He's always losing to Bill Simmons. So it's almost like if he says the Browns are going to have a great season, you could take it to the bank. They're going to have a shitty season. But be that as it may, boy, I'll tell you, just listen to, they're talking about the Browns O-line is getting old. Well, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. One of their Super Bowl runs. They had a lot of older guys on that O-line. They were veterans, and a lot of them were all pros. So, here comes the Browns. Who do they got? They got two former all-pros at guards, Batoni and Teller. They got an all-pro a couple times, Jack Conklin on the right side, who's healthy. So, and they got rid of our former left tackle. And from what I'm hearing, DeJuan Jones, going up against Miles, he should be a major upgrade on the left guard. I'm going to look at, folks, I'm going to be glass half full in this. And we talked about this last week in the podcast, but man, they've been talking about the secondary, the Browns, some questions there. Hey, who gives a shit if you got that D line like Philly had last year? You get that D line and who's that guy? Jaden Huntington?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. What a pickup between special teams, blocking back. I mean, this guy is a freaking beast. What a motor. Could you have put him alongside Mason Graham? Whoa, there's some disruption. Again, it's all going to come down to staying healthy. And I just love getting rid of Dustin Hopkins. I mean, he cost them 3 games last year. I mean, I'm looking at the win-loss. Amari, can you pull up the win-losses last year, refresh my memory? There were a lot of games we lost by a few points, and it was all because of Dustin Hopkins. And this is with one of the shittiest quarterbacks of all time, Deshaun Watson, playing. We're losing to the Cowboys, who turned out to be a terrible team. They shut down Deshaun Watson, and then all of a sudden the next year they get 400 yards pounded on them.
Yeah, that was a terrible game.
Go ahead, Brook.
I mean, I think, you're definitely more optimistic than I am. I'm not as pessimistic as some of these other talking heads. I think they're going to win more than 3 games. I could see them being a little bit below 500, which I think I was thinking about what their plan is. You look at a team like the Saints who, it's pretty clear that the Saints are trying to lose as many games as possible so they can get the number 1 pick. I don't think the Browns are doing that. I think if the Browns were doing that, they would have signed Joe Flacco. They definitely wouldn't have signed Myles Garrett. I think they're going into it optimistic with a veteran who knows Stefanski's system and Flacco. I think they have some good offensive weapons in Jeudy and Njoku. I'm with you. I think Fannin could be a steal. I think they have a good offensive line. I think the defense has the potential to be good. So I just don't get the total negativity from some of these, NFL, like those talking head guys. I don't.
Well, it's pack mentality. Who's going to go out on a limb and say the Browns are going to be a sleeper team this year? I mean, I've said this in past podcasts. I mean, look at the Bengals, their Super Bowl year. Their Super Bowl year, they were like the Browns the year before. And all of a sudden, Burrow's not hurt. You get a couple of key players. They get a great kicker. I mean, look at the Browns. I mean, we got rid of Hopkins. Thank you. He cost us 3 games. We got the guy who played in Syracuse. Thank you. That's a little cold weather out there. He's playing that division. I know they got a dome, but also the fact he was a Groza winner. Lou Groza winner. That's kind of like the Butkus winner. I mean, that's the seal of approval in a college game. And that is an upgrade over Hopkins. Special teams are going to be an upgrade. D-line, major upgrade. Push up the middle. O-line coming back with young Bill Callahan type coach. Stefanski's back calling the plays. Joe Flacco. I mean, really. And Hopkins cost him 3 games last year. Ball bounces a different way as a way of evening out. I said 9-8. That's my pick. 9-8 for the Browns. So, and I think they're going to go 3-2 in the first 5 games. I think they're going to beat the Packers. I think they're going to shock the world, beat the Bengals. And in terms of Super Bowl, in terms of taking the under, I think the Bills are going to be surprisingly weak. I think the Chiefs are going to be. I mean, these are all 10.5 on the over on the win. I think those 2 Bills and Chiefs won a lot of close games last year. The ball has a way of, bouncing the other direction upcoming season. You got Travis Kelce. He's getting married. He's 35. So, yeah, they're going to be a good team. They're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win 11 games.
Well, that division too is really tough. You got the Broncos, you got the Chargers, and the Raiders, who aren't going to be that bad.
Yeah. So now that they got Kenny Pickett. So, all right. Well, let's move to the Shaduer soap opera. Oh, I'm sorry, Brook. Let me back up. I got 9 and 8. What's your pick?
Give me 6 and 11.
6 and 11. Okay. All right, 6 and 11. All right.
And I hope at some point we see, I hope Flacco can play, but it would be nice to see one of the young guys at some point.
Break out. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I think you have to, because, I know this bleeds into the Shaduer soap opera, but I think it's pretty clear. I mean, even just watching the preseason, that Dylan Gabriel just looks more like a pro than Shaduer. And I think the consistent wordage after his 2 games is like, he seems very comfortable in Kevin Stefanski's his system. So
yeah, quarterback friendly. Yeah.
So yeah, I think you have to go into the draft next year, at least with like, all right, we feel good about one of these 2 guys, or, say, you know what, our plan all along was to just draft a young guy who we can develop. It's like a backup.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not going to get the number 1 pick, that's for sure. So I think we're going to be loaded up. Definitely 2 number 1s in the top 20. So that's a nice place to be. Okay, maybe this should be a Netflix series. By the way, I'm watching the Cowboys.
How good is that?
That is so good. So good. I mean, Jerry and Jimmy. I just finished episode 4. So, okay. They're bringing in, I stopped when they started talking about the White House. And I thought to myself, I'm going to save this one. So I'm going to rewatch this one. So.
Hey, let's stop here. We got to pay some bills. 30 seconds, and we'll be back. Getting your house ready to sell, or you just need some basic repairs, and you can't get anybody to come out or even return your phone call. Then call Riley Painting and Contracting, your home mechanics, for all of your home repair needs, from electrical, plumbing, roof repairs, and getting your house ready to sell. 45 years in the business, a AAA on the Better Business Bureau, and we're on the preferred contractor list in Cleveland Heights and Shaker Heights. You can contact us by calling 216-371-8160 and leave a message. And guess what? We'll call you back.
But speaking of soap operas, could you imagine if Shaduer was with the Cowboys and Jerry Jones?
Yeah, that would be.
Oh my God. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised. Andrew Barry playing. I would not be surprised. Andrew Barry playing 4-dimensional chess, dangling Shaduer out to Jerry, getting them all excited. Get prime time down in Big D. Wow. Yep.
Yeah.
Get another one. There you go. So Dak gets hurt, so a lot can happen. But all I can say about the Shaduer saga is, if it had been anybody else, when Stefanski pulled the quarterback, after 4 series, each one getting worse and worse, nobody would have said anything. We pulled Shaduer, who deserved to be pulled, because he was getting worse and worse. I've heard sources for other Browns podcasts talk. Who's that girl, Dee? She got another name.
Aditi Kinkawala.
Yeah. And she was alluding to the fact that she was on the field. There was some stuff. He was just getting worse and worse psychologically, really shook up. And, Stefanski just pulled him, said, hey, you need to sit down and get your head together here.
Good.
And which he did. I mean, not, as punishment, but just protecting the kid. He's a rookie. And he's regressing to his bad habits in college. And, it's kind of like when you're on the golf range and you're not getting any instruction, you're not getting any lesson for the pro, the last thing you want to be doing is keep digging the hole deeper. Keep hitting bad shot after bad shot after bad shot. You're just practicing the bad shots. And I think with Shaduer, I've watched a couple of film breakdowns. He was just terrible. Guys are open. He's not getting it out in under 3 seconds, which is the pro. I think it was Joe Thomas was saying when they have practice, they blow a horn after 3 seconds to get these guys timed up. So he's not doing his progressions. He's not hitting the hot route. So, yeah, and I really think that they got their eye on Tyler Huntley. They're going to bring him back. Someone's going to get hurt, and they're going to sign Huntley. He's going to feel real comfortable with, the Stefanski offense. But Shaduer needed to get pulled for the good of him. Your thoughts?
I mean, I was a little more not concerned, but it was kind of weird seeing Shaduer's body language on the sidelines afterwards. He's kind of like arguing with Stefanski, or hey, you got more towel over his head. And, I get it. It's preseason. Doesn't really mean much, but I'm glad that Stefanski stood his ground and said, no, you're not going. And
do that.
And I think, I think you're seeing there's all these conspiracies that, Shaduer wasn't picked. He wasn't picked higher because of this and that. It's like, I think a lot of teams are like, if I had to bet, I would say like half of them are probably like, you know what, we don't want this drama. But I think
exactly
a good part of them too is like, he's not that good.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah, exactly. And I think, it just, what Stefanski and Andrew Barry had to go through pulling this guy, and you get some of these analysts screaming that it was conspiracy and you're ruining Shaduer. I mean, they're all saying, hey, I'm glad we didn't pick him, right? Who needs this? Who needs to deal with this? So, and I mean, Gabriel, it was night and day, Gabriel versus Shaduer. Let's not don't get lost in the shuffle here, but my God, Dylan Gabriel looked very good against the Rams. Now, yeah, it's a second stringer. I get it. But his recognition, his reads, getting the ball out quick. I mean, this is a polished rookie.
It's like I said last week. It's like you can kind of just tell when someone has just like, he just kind of has something, and I think seeing Shaduer, he definitely looked a little shook up. He's letting his emotions out, scrambling around. But with Dylan Gabriel, it's like you see him come in, it's like, he's got a little moxie. He's got some like, yeah, let's fucking do this, and I got that same vibe like with Baker, just seeing him come in on that Jets game. I was like, he's just got something. He's just got this thing that guys are like, oh, heck yeah, I'll run through a brick wall for you.
Yeah, Baker looked so good his rookie year. I mean, he set a rookie record for most, for touchdowns thrown. I think he threw 19. And then everybody was all pumped up. Next year, Chubb. Yeah. And then they could have won that KC game in KC. And, that's people starting to realize Baker, he throws an interception, guy slips, it just seems like Baker just can't do those Tom Brady-ish like drives. But again, he's a young quarterback, and they just totally regressed with the shoulder, OBJ, and I hold Stefanski accountable for not just sitting him down. And that's what he did with Shaduer. He sat him down. He should have done that with Deshaun Watson. Pull him. But now, you know what? If I'm Stefanski, I'm thinking, thank you. I've got Joe Flacco. Really? Joe Flacco is like Jacoby Brissett. He's grateful, great attitude, great locker room guy, a veteran who's got more skills than Jacoby had. But look how good Jacoby was for the Browns. I mean, he wasn't the second coming of Peyton Manning, but on the other hand, he was a rock solid, good player. And if we had any kind of defense, probably would have made the playoffs that year.
Yeah, I think the Browns' plans are like we're gonna start with Flacco. We're gonna let Dylan Gabriel develop, learn, have the headset on, go through practice, go through what it's like to be a pro week to week. And then I think at some point, whether that's, at the bye week or the halfway point, unless the Browns are like shocking the world and, they're in the hunt for a wild card or they're playing a lot. If they're playing really good, I think at some point they're going to give the ball to Dylan Gabriel and say, all right, let's see what you got. I think that's their plan.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what the point spread is for the Ravens game, on the 14th. That'll be interesting.
That'll be
yeah. No, I think I'm just going down. Patriots, Jets, play the Raiders, Titans, Bears. I think the Bills are. I think the schedule on paper looks very daunting, and then you kind of, if you do a deep dive, let's just go down the season. I think they're going to beat the Bengals. I think they're going to acquit themselves well, but lose to the Ravens. That's 1-1. Packers are at home. I think their defense is going to just shut down. Who's the guy? Love? What's his first name?
Jordan Love.
So where are we? 2-1. They're at the Lions.
That's a loss.
Okay. That's 2-2. Then they play the Vikings in London. I think they're going to win that game. That's 3-2. They're going up against a rookie quarterback, right? McCarthy, Browns D. Then they get a bye week. So they're coming out the bye week at the Steelers with Aaron Rodgers, who by that time could be hurt. I think they win that game. So what are we, 4-2? Then they play the Dolphins at home. Dolphins aren't that good. That's 5-2. They're at the Patriots, big question mark there. And they're at the Jets. I think 6-7 games, lose to the Ravens. That's 7-3. They're at the Raiders. I think they win that game. That's 8. Niners at home. That's a good sign. Titans at home. So that's 9 games. Bears, Bills. Yeah.
Wow. I am on my crutch here. Oh, man.
Ooh.
You got him going back off. It's 11-6, baby.
Sounds more like 13-4.
Oh, God. You have got to be a Browns fan. You got to be so positive. All right. You really do. It's the beginning of the year. We got Joe Flacco. All right. We had a great draft. You know what? Let Stefanski be Stefanski. Coach, call the plays. We got good coaches now. So, yeah, I'm cautiously optimistic. So, So, all right. Final thoughts, Brook?
No, go Browns.
Go Browns. All right. Well, we will do a game breakdown of the Bungles next week, post Labor Day. See how the injuries are. And, so, yeah, let's get excited. All right, everybody. We'll talk next week.
All right.
Thank you for listening to the Cleveland Browns Anonymous podcast with Mike Riley. We have a lot more content on the way as we get this new podcast started. You can also check out some of our other podcasts like the Cleveland Real Estate Investor Podcast and other new ones that will start soon. On any platform that you find yourself listening to us on, feel free to leave us a like or comment or follow us. It always helps.